You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your Security Plus certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Message-based threat vectors refer to attacks that use communication channels as their delivery method. Unlike direct system exploits, these vectors rely on transmitting malicious content or deceptive instructions through everyday tools. People trust emails, text messages, instant chats, or collaboration apps. The message itself becomes the carrier of risk, whether by embedding malware, tricking a user into revealing credentials, or redirecting them to a harmful site. Because communication tools are essential to modern business, attackers exploit the fact that people must open and engage with these channels. Understanding message-based vectors is crucial, since they represent one of the most common and persistent ways adversaries bypass technical defenses to target human users. The range of communication channels used in these attacks is wide and growing. Email remains the most common vector, simply because it is universal and often trusted. But SMS and text messages have become popular avenues for smishing, leveraging the immediacy of mobile notifications. Instant messaging platforms, whether corporate or social, also present opportunities, particularly when users lower their guard in more informal contexts. Collaboration platforms like Slack, Teams, or project management tools extend the risk further, as attackers embed malicious links or files into shared spaces. Each channel provides a slightly different context, but the core vulnerability remains the same: trust in received messages. Phishing is the most recognized form of message-based attack. In its generic form, phishing involves sending deceptive messages to many recipients, hoping that some will click on malicious links or provide sensitive information. The tactic works because attackers exploit human psychology, fear, urgency, or curiosity, rather than technical weaknesses. Phishing emails might pretend to be from a bank, shipping company, or internal IT department, with the goal of manipulating the recipient into acting against their own interest. This technique has endured because it remains simple, scalable, and highly effective across diverse organizations and populations. Spear phishing represents a more targeted and sophisticated version of phishing. Instead of sending the same message to thousands of people, attackers craft a personalized message for a specific individual or group. This might involve researching the target on social media, tailoring the email to reference ongoing projects, or spoofing a trusted colleague's identity. The motive is to increase the likelihood of success by exploiting familiarity and relevance. While generic phishing relies on volume, spear phishing relies on precision. Defenders must treat it as especially dangerous because its tailored nature often bypasses filters and arouses less suspicion. Business email compromise, BEC, is a distinct type of spear phishing that focuses on financial fraud. Attackers compromise or convincingly spoof executive accounts and then instruct employees, often in finance or HR, to transfer funds or share sensitive information. The danger lies not in malware but in social manipulation. A well-timed email from a CEO can override normal skepticism. BEC attacks have caused billions in losses worldwide, proving that technical sophistication is not always necessary for success. Instead, attackers rely on authority and urgency to trick victims into taking costly actions. The simplicity makes BEC one of the most financially damaging vectors. Malicious attachments and link-based mechanisms are common delivery methods in message-based attacks. Attachments may contain macros, executable files, or disguised payloads that activate when opened. Links, meanwhile, lead victims to phishing websites, credential harvesting pages, or drive-by download sites. These methods exploit trust in routine communication, as users expect to receive documents, invoices, or updates via email or messaging apps. Attackers often mask malicious intent with convincing file names or seemingly legitimate URLs. Because users are conditioned to click links and open files in their daily workflows, these vectors remain highly effective and difficult to eliminate entirely. Spoofing plays a central role in making malicious messages appear authentic. Attackers manipulate email headers, domain names, or caller IDs to make their messages look like they originate from trusted sources. For instance, an email from it-support@company.com might actually come from it-support@cornpanty.com with a subtle substitution. Spoofing extends beyond email into SMS and voice, where caller ID can be forged to display a familiar number. The entire purpose is to exploit recognition and trust, bypassing the user's natural suspicion. Without careful inspection or technical safeguards, spoofed communications often succeed in tricking recipients. URL obfuscation and redirectors further aid attackers in concealing malicious intent. Instead of sending a link that looks suspicious, attackers may use shortened URLs, embedded redirect services, or domains designed to mimic legitimate ones. A user might click a link that appears harmless, but silently routes through multiple redirects before delivering them to a malicious site. This technique relies on the fact that most people do not scrutinize URLs closely, especially on mobile devices where addresses are truncated. Obfuscation makes phishing more convincing and harder to block, underscoring the importance of tools that analyze links in real time. Validating sender identity is a critical defense against message-based threats. Users should be encouraged to confirm suspicious requests through secondary channels, such as calling the sender directly. Technical mechanisms, such as email authentication protocols, provide additional assurance that messages originate from authorized servers. The underlying principle is simple: trust should be earned, not assumed. Attackers succeed when recipients take messages at face value. Defenders must foster both cultural and technical practices that encourage verification, especially for requests involving sensitive data or financial transactions. Validation interrupts the attacker's reliance on deception as their primary vector. Basic defenses against message-based vectors include filtering, authentication, and user training. Filters screen out known malicious senders or content, reducing the volume of dangerous messages. Authentication mechanisms, such as domain-based checks, ensure that senders are who they claim to be. Training helps employees recognize suspicious patterns and avoid interacting with harmful content. None of these defenses alone is perfect, but together they create a layered barrier that reduces the success rate of attacks. Just as layered clothing protects against varying weather conditions, layered defenses protect against the evolving tactics of message-based adversaries. Technical controls and user awareness must work together to combat these threats effectively. Even the best filters may allow some malicious emails through, and even the most cautious employees may occasionally make mistakes. By combining automated defenses with human judgment, organizations increase resilience. For example, an email flagged as suspicious by a filter might still be intercepted by an alert employee before harm occurs. The relationship is reciprocal. Technology supports humans, and humans support technology. Treating one as sufficient without the other leads to gaps attackers can exploit. Balanced integration is the key to durable defense. Ultimately, message-based vectors represent one of the most dominant human-targeted attack surfaces. Attackers return to these methods because they work, not because they are technically sophisticated. Messages provide a direct channel to people, bypassing many perimeter defenses. Whether through phishing, spoofing, or malicious attachments, the human element remains the critical point of compromise. Defenders must acknowledge that the inbox, chat thread, or text message is as much part of the attack surface as a server or application. By elevating message-based threats to their proper place of prominence, organizations can focus on reducing this high-impact risk. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Email authentication standards were developed to help recipients distinguish legitimate messages from forged ones. 3 important protocols work together in this space: Sender Policy Framework, SPF, Domain Keys Identified Mail, DKIM, and Domain-Based Message Authentication, Reporting, and Conformance, DMARC. SPF verifies whether a mail server is authorized to send messages for a domain, while DKIM uses digital signatures to ensure a message has not been tampered with. DMARC ties these together, allowing domain owners to specify how unauthenticated messages should be handled. Conceptually, these standards give defenders a way to validate the source and integrity of email, closing off one of the most abused weaknesses in communication channels. While email authentication helps verify senders, users still face risks from malicious links. URL rewriting and safe browsing tools provide added layers of defense by modifying or inspecting links before the user accesses them. Some systems rewrite links in incoming emails so that, when clicked, they are checked against threat intelligence databases in real time. Safe browsing services, often built into browsers, warn users when they attempt to navigate to known phishing or malware hosting sites. These controls reduce the likelihood that a user's simple click results in compromise. Their value lies in shifting link analysis from the user's judgment to automated, scalable defenses. Defenders must remember, however, that link protection is not foolproof. Attackers frequently register new domains or use compromised legitimate sites to host malicious content. URL rewriting and safe browsing tools cannot guarantee detection of these novel or fast-changing threats. Nonetheless, they significantly reduce exposure by catching many known or recurring campaigns. This balance highlights a recurring principle. No single defense can eliminate message-based risk, but layered controls consistently reduce attacker success. Users may still encounter dangerous links, but the frequency and effectiveness of these attempts diminish with proactive link protections in place. Attachments remain another common delivery method, and sandboxing provides an important defense. Attachment sandboxing involves opening and analyzing files in an isolated environment before delivering them to the recipient. If the file exhibits suspicious behavior, such as attempting to modify system files, contact external servers, or execute unexpected code, it can be quarantined. This technique provides insight into threats that may evade signature-based detection, such as newly developed malware. For defenders, sandboxing adds depth to their security posture, ensuring that unknown or suspicious files are tested safely before they ever reach an employee's device. Sandboxing does not prevent attackers from attempting to send malicious files, but it lowers the chance of success. By catching new threats before they can spread, it buys defenders time to update broader detection systems. However, sandboxing can be resource-intensive, and attackers continually refine methods to evade detection, such as delaying malicious behavior or encrypting payloads. Despite these challenges, sandboxing remains a valuable tool in the arsenal. It illustrates the principle that security involves creating friction for attackers, forcing them to invest more effort for diminishing returns, which ultimately makes message-based attacks less appealing. Content classification and data loss prevention (DLP) technologies extend defense into the protection of sensitive information within message channels. Content classification identifies and labels data, such as personal identifiers or financial records, ensuring that messages carrying sensitive content receive added scrutiny. DLP builds on this by monitoring outgoing messages to prevent unauthorized sharing of confidential data. Together, these tools reduce not only the risk of malicious inbound messages but also the risk of accidental or intentional data leakage. This dual perspective highlights that message channels are bidirectional threats. They can be used to both receive and exfiltrate sensitive information. The multi-channel nature of phishing adds complexity for defenders. Attacks no longer rely solely on email. They pivot into SMS smishing, phone calls, vishing, and even messaging apps like WhatsApp or Slack. Attackers exploit the fact that people compartmentalize risk, being more cautious with email but less suspicious when receiving a text from a delivery service. This cross-channel movement allows attackers to bypass security investments that focus only on email filtering. Defenders must therefore extend awareness and monitoring across all common communication platforms, recognizing that message-based threats can emerge wherever users exchange information. Indicators of suspicious or malformed messages provide valuable early warnings. Messages with poor grammar, unusual formatting, or mismatched sender addresses often signal malicious intent. Similarly, messages that create undue urgency claiming accounts will be closed, or deliveries delayed attempt to bypass critical thinking. Technical anomalies, such as mismatched reply-to fields or attachments with unexpected file extensions, are also red flags. Training users to spot these signs is as important as technical detection tools. The combination of human awareness and automated flagging provides a safety net, catching attacks that might otherwise slip past one layer of defense. Collaboration tools like Slack, Teams, or project management platforms create additional exposure when not securely configured. Attackers may exploit overly permissive sharing settings, weak access controls, or poorly monitored integrations with third-party apps. Because these platforms often host both casual conversation and sensitive documents, they are attractive targets. Secure configuration, such as requiring multi-factor authentication, restricting external sharing, and auditing integrations, reduces the risk. Defenders must treat these tools as communication channels equivalent to email, not as informal spaces outside the security perimeter. Their growing role in daily business makes them vital components of the attack surface. Logging and alerting provide defenders with visibility into message-based threats. By recording activity across email servers, collaboration tools, and messaging apps, organizations can detect suspicious patterns, such as spikes in phishing attempts or unusual attachment traffic. Alerts help security teams respond quickly before attacks spread broadly. The value of logging lies in turning invisible communication flows into observable data, which can then inform investigations and defensive tuning. Without robust logging, defenders operate in the dark, unable to distinguish normal from malicious behavior. Visibility is the first step toward effective response. Continuous tuning of filters is necessary to balance accuracy. Filters that are too strict may block legitimate business communication, frustrating employees and creating workarounds that undermine security. Filters that are too permissive may let dangerous messages through. Attackers constantly evolve tactics, changing subject lines, payloads, and domains. Filters must be updated with fresh intelligence to remain effective. This tuning process is ongoing, reflecting the dynamic nature of message-based threats. Defenders must accept that security is not a one-time configuration, but an adaptive practice that evolves alongside attacker innovation. User reporting mechanisms strengthen detection by making employees active participants in defense. When a suspicious email can be reported with a single click, security teams gain valuable intelligence about ongoing campaigns. Aggregated reports from many users can reveal widespread phishing attempts or novel tactics. This crowdsourced visibility complements automated defenses, turning users from weak links into sensors. Encouraging reporting requires not punishing mistakes, but rewarding vigilance. The cultural shift from passive recipients to active defenders changes the dynamic, reducing attacker success rates and accelerating organizational response. The effectiveness of message-based defenses depends on combining technical controls with continuous awareness. Filters, authentication, sandboxing, and DLP tools provide automated layers of defense, while education, vigilance, and reporting add human judgment. Neither alone is sufficient. Attackers know that technology can fail and people can be tricked, which is why message-based vectors remain so successful. By reinforcing both fronts, organizations close gaps and build resilience. The interplay of people and technology creates a layered environment where even if one line fails, others compensate. This layered approach is the essence of strong, message-based defense. In summary, message-based threats require layered prevention, detection, and response. Attackers exploit trust in everyday communication channels to deliver their payloads or manipulate human behavior. Defenders must respond by deploying authentication protocols, link and attachment protections, and data controls, while also fostering awareness and vigilance among users. These threats cannot be eliminated entirely, but they can be blunted significantly. The goal is not to stop every malicious message, but to make successful compromise rare, costly, and visible. Message-based vectors remain dominant, but with layered defenses, their effectiveness can be sharply reduced. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.